Hey, good evening. Today in a class, I had a very interesting side conversation, and I wanted to share some of it with other people because I think it's pretty relevant right now. Um, we were talking about how culture in an organization and understanding what kind of culture you're in can impact diversity and inclusion. And of course, this is a topic that a lot of people are talking about right now. So we'll just share it out with the rest of the internet. Um, you know, we use competing values framework when we talk about culture as a sort of lens to look at our culture through, and it might be a common question to say, hey, which of these areas, adhocracy or hierarchy or clan culture, which things lead to more diversity and inclusion? And I think the answer we have to come to is none. None of them are inherently good or inherently bad for promoting diversity inside of an organization, but they're useful. And specifically, they're useful in understanding the opportunities and the challenges that you're going to run into when trying to increase diversity and inclusion. So, so let's go through them real quick, right? So let's say I look at hierarchy, and hierarchy, really kind of gets a bad name. This idea of, well, do things by the book, do things right, and do things policy oriented. Um, but it's not awful, right? It should give us strong mechanisms to incentivize and encourage diversity and inclusion inside of our organization, right, through those policies that we rely on. Unfortunately, what we find is that a lot of times there isn't the space for the purpose aspect of that conversation, for the human aspect of that conversation. And so we design a policy intended to get a certain effect, and as people try to get through their day, they end up working around the policy or applying it differently than expected. And and the challenge that you run into in a hierarchy culture is that people say, well, the policy's been met. I did my part, right? It's very easy to kind of scapegoat that, and not my fault. And I've covered my rear. It's not necessarily done with malice. It's I followed the policy, right? And there isn't room for a purpose statement. So let's go up into into a clan culture that's all about people, right? Developing people, having better teamwork, respect for people. And you'd think, well, of course, clan's great for diversity and inclusion. And it is. That is the opportunity. It is. It's all about the people, and so there's room there for that conversation. Um, but what's the challenge? Well, the same thing that makes us love who we are and celebrate ourselves as a team is the same kind of thing that can lead to the in group, out group mentality, which actually insulates my team and makes me say, well, my team's great. So when I'm going to go get more people, I'm going to get more people like who is already here in my team because they're great and I want more of them, right? Which can work directly against diversity and inclusivity. Um, and then, I kind of have the same statement about both of the things on the external side of competing values framework, whether you're focused on innovation or you're focused on, competing in results. Um, Both of these have the same potential problem and the same potential opportunity, and that is whoever comes up with that innovation, whoever gets those results, gets the most sales, delivers the most widgets, whatever that happens to be, uh, we should just say, yeah, great, you're awesome, and we're going to reward you because you've gotten the results we're looking for. It's an external focus, and I don't care who you are, right? You got the results, and that's fantastic. Um, and there's the opportunity there, right? Is that we can celebrate everyone who gets those results. There's the opportunity when you have those external facing cultures. But again, there's a challenge you're going to face. And that is they're both potentially assuming that we live in a meritocracy, that truly everything is even, that we all truly have an equality of opportunity at the start, that we're all dealt the exact same hand of cards, and it's just how we play them. But study after study shows that that's simply not true, and even anecdotally, right? You can go out and you can see that that's not true. That different people are dealt different hands of cards to start, Um, and even mediocre results from one person might be a way bigger jump from where they started than amazing results from a person who started with a silver spoon, right? Um, so that's kind of the thing I wanted to share. It was a side conversation, but it was interesting. I hadn't considered it from that viewpoint before. That if you understand what kind of culture you are working within, it doesn't make things necessarily easier or harder, but it does mean that you have some extra insight in the types of opportunities and the types of challenges that you're going to encounter when trying to increase diversity and inclusion inside of your organization. Have a good night. Hope that was helpful.